Alrighty, I think this thing is working. It's long overdue, but I am looking to do another update on my video blog here about my Road to Cicerone adventure. This one is going to be talking about my tasting exam experience and what updates do I have related to the tasting exam. So what am I going to do here? First of all, I am going to pour some more of this beer that I'm having tonight. It's a Bourbon County brand stout, but it's the cherry wood one from last year, 2021 release. I had a little before, and I'm just gonna have a little bit more while I talk about my updates. Cheers. So, tasting exam attempt or attempts. So, yeah, there's a story here. I took my written exam in February, and I took the tasting exam also in February, about 2.5 weeks after that. Um, Obviously, I had some challenges, and I want to talk about those, what they were, and then what my preparation strategy was for the first run, but also for the second run, for two things. So basically, I was prepping on style discrimination, and I was prepping for off flavor detection, right? Um, and what did I do to kind of prep for those things? And then kind of circle back on what is like my short list of tips I would give for anyone else kind of going through the same journey here. And then a little bit of what's next. What do I see around the corner, right? So that's what I want to talk about a bit. Let's see, how's this beer? Again, it's the cherrywood one. Not my favorite of them, but maybe I just need to let it warm up and also have it by itself. I had a little with a steak before, and I was like, no, it doesn't really go. It's too overpowering. Flavors wasn't a good thing. But now it's good. But anyway, yeah, so the attempts, again, I took it the first time and I did not pass, but I was so close, or at least to me, I was so close. I was about 2 cups off out of 12. So yeah, that's not close enough, right? So the first attempt I had, there's 12 cups, 3 panels, and I really messed up the first panel of the brewing side off flavors. I only got 1 out of 4 cups there, and that really set me back. And then on the second and third panels, I got 3 out of 4 cups. Um, and yeah, so that wasn't good enough. So I actually was bummed, but I saw that there was another opportunity for me to schedule a second attempt without flying, which was going to be up in Boston. So yeah, the first attempt was in Brooklyn, easy for me to get to, a couple subway trains, and I'm there. But again, that didn't work out. That was a Brooklyn brewery, great venue, everything about the test was great. It was just me, I wasn't delivering, right? The second one was up in Boston, so I booked it right away. And then I said, let me step back, and then a month or two before, I'll start studying again. So that's what I did. I took a break. But then what did I do? So when I got the ball rolling again, I was like, okay, let me continue doing style discrimination and also prep for the off flavor. So I went on the website, I bought 3 off flavor kits, the Aroxa ones, 3. I was like, I'm going to do one now, then one like in a month, and then one right before. So while I was waiting for those to arrive in the mail, I started doing style discrimination tests, buying all the common commercial examples for styles I thought would be relevant. German Pils, Czech Premium Pale Lager, Munich Helles, those 3 I was having together in different combinations and just trying to get better at telling the difference between them. Sometimes I was like, yeah, I'm not good at this. And then sometimes I was like, oh, I'm starting to get the hang of these styles, right? Pretty inconsistent though. Cali Common, American Amber, there's all these pairings that you do next to each other. So I was doing that. Irish Stout versus Imperial Stout versus Schwarzbier, all that stuff. Going through all these, having them side by side, then having my wife, I would say, hey, here's 2 beers or here's 3 beers. I'm going to go walk the dog. You pour one in a cup and then put everything away. So then I would do that, which is more realistic to the exam. What's in the cup? Try to pick, right? So I was doing that a lot, and that was really helpful. Have the styles next to each other so you kind of really hone in on the differences of how you detect what's different about them. So then next time when it's just one beer, maybe you'll just zero in on what it is. And so that was really helpful for me. I started getting better at picking the beer, right? Now off flavors, again, not my favorite thing. I'm not good at detecting some of them. So the first round of doing the off flavor kit, I put all 6 at once. I had the three for brewing side, three for service side. And for the brewing side, obviously I have one control cup mixed in there. So 4 cups, one is not spiked. And for the service side, again, I'm using the base beer and I was just putting them in there, not doing any random thing, just trying to detect them. And then I was mixing them around. And yeah, I found that I wasn't really getting good results, a little demoralizing, but I said, hey, whatever, I'll keep trying at this. Closer to it, maybe like 2 weeks out, I did another set where I broke it up. I said, hey, let me do the first three one night and then the second three a different night. So I tried to focus more on them and pretty much realized that, there's a couple that I'm just not getting, but hey, I'll keep at it. So then we came to the night before the exam. I got up to Boston, took a train, got all situated, got the little bed and breakfast room, went for a little stroll, got dinner, got some beer for the base beer, got empty cups that I had. I settled down. I spent 2 hours with the off flavor kits. I did all of them, and I had a super mega arrangement where I was going to quiz myself over and over and over with that one off flavor kit. 6 off flavors. I had 9 cups plus then the 1 cup that is the base beer. So I had my panel 1 4 cups, and to make panel 3 as realistic as possible, I would have 5 cups, but 3 are pilled and 2 are placebo, right? And then I would put all 5 in a circular tray, and I was mixing and matching, and I would spin them and grab any 4. So I didn't even know if 2 or 3 would be tainted, right? So it was really matching what's expected to be the exam setting. So I did that really, it worked out great. I had no idea what I was grabbing. Yeah, look at the results. I'm like, damn, I'm not doing so good. So I put like labels on the cup, and it's like, oh man, some of these I'm not getting. And so I did this 4 times, and I wrote down extensive notes each time. And then what I realized is, hey, the ones I'm reliably getting are always the same, and then there's a couple that I'm reliably missing. And that's where I had a strategy. And I realized, don't guess. That was my key takeaway. Don't guess. Go with what you know. The ones you know you're bad at, don't even try. That's what I actually went into the exam as a strategy, saying panel 1, like for example, I know diacetyl. I'm not really good at acetaldehyde or DMS. So my strategy was I went in and eventually I found the diacetyl cup, and I was like, you know what? The other ones are all base. I'm just going to say it, even though I know it's bunting. I'm going to get 2 wrong, but at least I won't get 3 wrong, right? So that was my strategy for that. And for style discrimination, again, it all comes down to knowing the styles. What's in the cup? Is it A or B? And again, that's just you knowing it by taste, knowing it by smell, or at least knowing the theoretical knowledge of the styles in case it's a style you haven't gotten your hands on. And I think that strategy worked as good as I can expect. And I'm not disappointed with 3 out of 4 cups there. And the one I got wrong, I then looked into it and I was like, oh, now I know better. I would never make that mistake again. So, always learning, even after the fact. And for the service side error, again, those I know I can detect them mostly. And my only weakness there was that, you know what, sometimes I'm detecting tartness and maybe there's not tartness there. Maybe I'm trying too hard. So that's, again, I got 3 out of 4. 1 was off because I think of that. I was just like, oh yeah, there's a little tartness here. But at the end of the day, the service side off flavors are not my big weakness. The brewing side seemed to be my blind spot. But anyway, tips. So at the end of this whole journey from last January till now, June, middle of June, I have really a short list of what are the tips I would give myself if I was starting over. It's a really short list, honestly. Really, the core stuff for the written exam, right? BJCP guidelines, just print that whole thing and just have it and refer to it. Read it while you're tasting. Just keep looking at it. Read all the facts, the history, the ingredients, the style comparisons, the strengths. Also, the Cicerone website, I know their flashcards aren't the best flashcards, but they worked for me. I got the flashcards for CBS and the flashcards for Cicerone. Together you can get the complete set. Those, I divided them by country and then sorted them by strength. Very handy for me in preparation for the written exam. That was really helpful. And obviously, all the books that everyone tells you that I've talked about in my previous videos, obviously read those books too. And last but not least, but if anything, the biggest help for me was again the Beer Scholar videos, the online training, amazingly helpful because it helps you focus on the subset information that is most likely for you to be on the exam. I mean, to be honest, the BJCP guidelines are very extensive. You have to just focus on the parts that are scoped for level two, right? Because otherwise, you're practicing for master effectively. If you can be like the BJCP walking dictionary, you're ready for master as far as the written theory knowledge, right? So yeah, you just got to know which snippets to really focus on for now. Um, and other things like that, it was just really when you get to the flavors and style discriminations, really don't guess. Just focus on what's in the cup. You know, the beer scholar kind of makes that point many times too, and just go with your gut. What is your experience? Don't try to game it or guess it or things like that. And really, it all came down to that. Learn the styles organically, the information, but also the taste. It'll kind of come back to you when you need it to if you've done the reps, right? So, like it said. Um, and yeah, so what's next for me? So I have finally been able to switch gears, stop obsessing now about worrying about being able to hit a benchmark like on an exam, but now just remember what I've learned, try to enjoy it now. When I go to buy beer, I'm not just buying beer, I'm buying a medley of beers and then putting them together on purpose, both for myself to have these styles next to each other and also to do that with my friends and people so it makes it more fun for them to make beer an adventure. So that's kind of taking on that role, right? In the personal life, just say, hey, making beer a thing that you can elevate people's awareness of and appreciation for and having fun while doing that. That's what I'm trying to do now. And around the corner now, we just happen to have a trip to the UK. That's why I have the Churchill Arms background. Going to be visiting the countryside of Great Britain, and then we're going to Greece, and then we're coming back and we're going to do London. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis in the UK. It's going to be fun. And I'm just going to be tagging on my map all these places that have good cask ale, real ale, and making it a point of just experiencing all the British styles, the English styles, right? Bringing my notes with me, my flashcards, and really just trying to hone in on that because that's never been something I've had the chance to focus on. Um, and yeah, who knows? Maybe in the future I'd love to get side work and get into the industry to get some more hands-on experience now, putting all this learnings to use, right? And not just seeing walking around with some knowledge, but actually getting good at the ups and downs of actually working in the industry would be really fun. Not as like a job for me to be my job, but just because I want to get exposure and because in the future maybe there's a brewery opening business of some kind, some capacity, and I want to have real experience, not just get people with money together and do it. I want to know the ins and outs to be better involved and make, you know, be a partner, be involved. Who knows? That's down the line. But anyway, I do want to show a couple things. What do I have here? So obviously the resources I was talking about, one of them is these beer style cards, right? It's a generic thing. They're actually not the best cards probably, but they actually are really good quality and also the easiest to read. It doesn't have all the details, but it has good details for you to get the mental picture of how these beers are related to each other, specifically the ladders. So some styles have like steps in strength and they're kind of very closely related to each other. And these things just make it very easy for you to have that in your head. The key specs, the quantitative measurements are there, the ABV, the SRM, all that stuff that you need to know for the written exam. I found that to be really, really useful. And then one of the things, one of my trials by fire, this is the night before. I just want to go through the pictures I took of what my method was. How did I do that off flavor kit testing by myself? So you see I made these cute little papers for the off flavors, for the base, and I was taping these on the bottom of the cups, which was fun. And that night I bought a couple beers. I bought this a Miller Lite for my base beer. And then also as a bonus, in next to the off flavor kit, I was doing my Munich Helles um, off flavor. I was getting two different ones and just having them next to each other to really hone in the style, to get a little more familiar. Because I was like, hey, one of these beers is going to show up. Let me just do some more practice too. And then I lined up the pills to the papers before I put them in the cups. I was all ready. And then there it is. I had all the cups lined up. Poured. I start with just 2 ounces of the base beer. And then eventually, then I topped it off to 3. I wanted to start with a more potent um, solution, right? Just to see if maybe the flavors would come out more, the aromas. And then there's my spinner. So again, I was reshuffling. I did this 4 different times to really take full advantage of this $60 off flavor kit. Mm, Set a timer, and then yeah, every time I went, I took notes. And the first panel, the second panel, and I would do my guess, and then I would see, hey, did I get it right or wrong? And every check or X, right? I did this 4 different times, and then I made a matrix. And that's when I came up with the ones I got wrong the most were always DMS and acetaldehyde. And that's when I realized I'm not going to try to guess those two. So it was all about calculated strategy for me. And honestly, I think it paid off because, as I'll show you, I did a couple runs here. The next thing, so and this is me, happy dance, right? Ooh, okay. I was so happy when I got the email, and then I logged in, and I was like, oh, it shows it. I was just so stoked. And then the scores. So let's see. Let's talk about my last few months. So the scores here. If you see the one line, written exam. I was so happy with this. I was really pleased with my result. I got a 96 on that, and you only need an 80 to pass. So I gave myself a little breathing room there, right? And the tasting score the first time I did it was a 60. And so that was like, oh, well, obviously you need a 70 on that. Doesn't matter what you get on the written, you need a 70 on the tasting. So luckily, my second attempt, I just broke through the ice there, 72, which brings my total average score to 91. Hey, sounds good to me. Passing's passing, and I feel pretty happy with that result. The demo, again, from the first attempt, 84, good enough. So yeah, that's it. That's me at the finish line with this goal after a year and 5 months since I took the CBS exam. Um, and yeah, really stoked. So I just wanted to put this last episode out there of my start to finish journey. And this is mostly for me. I look back at it and I watch it, and it's not really like I'm a YouTuber, but it is fun to do. And if anyone else is going through this process, has any questions, feel free to tag me up on here, on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, or Wojak. Same. Let's see, to say Wojak. See, Wojak. And yeah, we'd love to chat with anyone that's doing this. But hey, thanks for your time and cheers. And anyone else going down this route,